Okay. Thank you everyone for joining today's call, and we have a full agenda. The first item is to welcome our two new developers. Karen is our senior developer from Sahaj Group, and Manisha is a junior developer from Sahaj Group. And Karen, would you like to say a thing or two for us?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the welcome. And so, quick introduction, something about me. So, I have around 8 years of experience. 7 years I was at ThoughtWorks, and last year I joined Sahaj when Rohit Bansal and a few others started the company. So, I worked on .NET platform for about 5 years, and after that, I worked on Java and Android for next 2 years, and last 1 year I've been working on Ruby on Rails. So I've also have some experience in the data collection through mobile apps. I've worked on Project Drishti, if you have known. That was a project that was done in ThoughtWorks a few years back. So I have some experience on the community health worker, the data collection through Android applications.
Great.
So looking forward to working with you guys.
We're very excited. Welcome, Karen.
Thanks.
Welcome, Kiran.
Thank you.
Is Manisha around?
Yeah, hi, Ada. Manisha is here with me.
Yay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Manisha. I've recently joined Sahaj. Like, I've been here for 6 months. I'm a fresher, this is my second Android project that I'll be working on. So nice to meet you all.
Welcome.
It's nice to meet you too, Manisha. Welcome.
Yeah, we're very excited for you guys to be on board with us. The next welcoming is we now have our actually I missed one for Mary. I'm sorry. The mUzima implementation coordinators. Eric is our help us with the fingerprint and teleconsultation. Eric, do you want to say something?
Oh, Eda, there's something I've done research on, and I've shared with the team. Unfortunately, I didn't share with you, but I wanted the team to at least make contributions first before I share with you.
Okay.
So,
yeah, you can just say, yeah, maybe you can just introduce maybe one or two things about you, and then anything you want us to know about you. I think that will work. That doesn't have to be like exactly about the project.
Okay, sure. My name is Eric, and I've worked with clinical decision support from 2010. Summary sheets first, and right now it's the mobile technology that's coming in. So I think we should be working from there.
Great. Welcome, Eric. And Ruth? Ruth, help us for the CDM and LUC project. CDM is the chronic disease management. LUC is the hypertension project. So they work. These two projects are very closely tied together. Ruth?
Okay, I'm Ruth Keitan. I also work in the CDFS team, and currently we are working with mUzima as the implementer coordinators. We are glad to work with the team. Thank you.
Welcome, Ruth. Robin? For oncology and mental health. So both oncology already been testing and piloting the mUzima, and mental health is a new program for mUzima, and we plan to do more work on that. Do you want to say one or two things?
Okay. My name is Robai. I've been working with CDSS from 2011. We are now working under mUzima, and we've really appreciated joining this call, and we'll work together to take mUzima far. Thank you.
Welcome, Robai. Further, help us with the PHCT. PHCT stands for Perpetual Home-Based and Counseling Testing. It's one of the programs that it started a few years ago, and then now it expand to it go to the house, the individual households in specific catchment area. So the counselor will reach out to those clients instead of waiting for the clients to go to the clinic. Florida.
Hi everyone. My name is Florida Kiplagat, and I've been working with the CDSS team from 2010, and right now we are working with mUzima, and we are really hoping for the best in mUzima. Thank you.
Thanks, Florida. Mary, help us with the device management security app. That is the app that we plan to install in our mobile app devices, so that one thing is like to track the devices, which user use which device and vice versa, as well as in case it got lost or misplaced, we can either lock the device or wipe out the data. Mary?
Hi guys, my name is Mary Mungu. I've been working with the CDSS team from 2010. Now we are working with mUzima. I appreciate so much for everything, for the support. Looking forward to work with you. Thank you.
Welcome, Mary. And is Lagat around, or like I think is he around, Lagat?
No, it's not.
Okay, so Lagat is helping us to he's the project manager for the CDSS team, and he helps to oversee all these implementations and for the project, as well as clinical reminders specific to make sure, because right now the clinical reminders through paper or through the web app side, but we plan to work on it for the mobile side as well later this year. So we have lots of deliverables to do for till the end of this year, even for a year. So I'm so excited everyone is on board, and thank you so much. Welcome. So the next agenda item is feedback from Burke on improving mUzima. Simon, do you want to take a lead on that one?
Ed. Yes, last week I had a meeting with Buck Mamley. I'm not sure whether everybody knows Buck. If you don't know Buck Mamlin is the brain behind OpenMRS. I think he's one of the founders, and he has been spearheading the developments within OpenMRS up to this point. So he visited us last week, and we had lengthy discussions in various development areas. And I had a chance to have a talk with him about mUzima, and basically to get an understanding of what he thinks, what mUzima has done well, and maybe the areas we could do an improvement. So it's important for me to point out that he was very happy with the current development. He was impressed because he had a chance to go to the field to see the implementation, to observe users working with mUzima, and he was impressed to see at least we could have registration of patients and filling of encounter forms and having them submitted to the server side. Well, since my interest was for me to get to know maybe what he thinks we should do to make things even better, he suggested a few things. Basically, it was about suggesting ways in which we can improve on usability. Because what he pointed out is that he saw, I think, someone was filling a form, and there was training a little bit. Probably, I don't know which exact form, but probably the one having not finding it so easy to fill the form because of what he suggested was not using libraries like Bootstrap that would make the form filling easier. Then he mentioned about the font. I think he thought the font was a bit small, so for some users, I think they would find it hard. They would strain reading what is displayed on the screen. But those are just some minor changes that he suggested. Another thing that he talked about was how to modularize the application, because from his understanding, mUzima has various use cases, and eventually it will have various modules that would not all be usable to one implementation. For example, we are thinking of introducing the PHCT module, which according to him will be an additional module that would be accessed via the dashboard. Currently on the dashboard, you can access forms, cohorts, patients, and notifications. So he thinks there will be an additional button for PHCT. So he thinks PHCT should be a module that can be configured to be installed or compiled into the application for one implementation. And for those implementations that don't do PHCT, for example, if mUzima is being used solely in a dispensary, then they won't need that module. And therefore, it would not be good for it to be included in their particular implementation. So what he thinks, and because of even the many other use cases that we shall have in future, he thinks we should maybe design our application in such a way that you can choose to incorporate a particular module and choose not to include others, so that it will be easier to scale the app to different situations and different use cases. Well, in a summary, that's basically what we discussed. Other issues were about reminders. This was of interest to Martin because we are thinking of incorporating reminders as part of the notifications on the application, so that we can send reminders to providers. For example, if you want to inform a provider there was a change in a patient ID that was used to register a patient, so that message could be sent to the provider as a notification or as a reminder. So we were discussing the possibilities or the possible ways in which those can be included. Well, that discussion was not final because it's an ongoing discussion that I think it's also being discussed in some other forum with some book. So in a summary, basically that's what we talked about with backmumbling, and I found it to be great because it's good if you have such a person kind of embracing the work we are doing and liking it.
Great. There's a lot of useful feedback and suggestions. I just wonder if anyone has comments let's talk about the module specific for the program. I wonder if what's the pros and cons that you guys can think of, just first thing come into your mind.
Well, okay, let me mention one thing about the modularization of the application. I think that one is would be a very big change in the application, because one of the suggestions was even to change the structure of the code so that each module is put separately. And like as of now, we have structured our code in such a way that there is a package for controllers, and controllers would cut across. There would be a controller for notifications, a controller for cohorts, and those various sections that cut across the different modules we have. So Inisa's suggestion was we need to package all code for one module. If it's PHCT or if it is notifications, everything matters. Notifications should be placed in a package called notifications, so that it would be easier even for new developers to come in and just check the structure of one package and develop their own if they're introducing a new module. I thought that could be a very big change that would require serious consideration. That's my comment. I don't know whether maybe I'm making sense or maybe what guys are understanding about that talk.
Hey, Simon, thanks a lot for talking to Burke about this. But yeah, I like some of the ideas that guys talked about. And as far as modularization of the application goes, I think it's like a really big change. So maybe we could start with the PHCT module because that's something that's new and doesn't really exist as a functionality in the app already. So I would say like, instead of changing the app, the entire app, I would say like because we're starting with something new that we can implement according to this modular structure, we could give it a shot and see how it works. It's just my suggestion.
Hey, Wayne, do you have comment on this one?
I think I agree with we can group the module together, and there's some of the module, for example, the registration module and the main mUzima module, we can group them together. The initial idea was that we provide the main mUzima module, and then other people can create their own module to register their own form processor handler. That way, everyone can create their own form and then register their own handler. So, because the person who write the form most likely going to know more on how to handle their form. So that's why we open that hole there for everyone to have their own form and handler. So I think it makes sense for us to merge mUzima form and then the main mUzima module and the core mUzima registration with the handler that comes by default with mUzima. But I think we should separate the teleconsultation module still, because that is, you can consider that as an add-on module.
Actually, it was separate. They were separated, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask, like, if we separate all these things, and then how can the user pick and choose which one they need to add on from the end user point of view? Or it will.
Hi, Ada.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ada?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question regarding this teleconsultation module. What is that teleconsultation
Yeah, so
module.
so the teleconsultation modules, we created it for the purpose of when you think about um, um, because like the first implementation we use is for empath in Kenya. I think we have like about 30 million people in Kenya, and when you think about we probably have 7,000 medical doctors. Um, and from the 7,000, we will have even fewer um, specialists. Specialists mean like, let's say that oncologists, dermatologists, cardiologists, those kind of specialists. And so they are really, really rare, and they're in big demand for the obvious reason, because the big 1-to-N ratio for the population to serve. So the hierarchy of the healthcare providers is like we call it physician consultants, are those with the special trainings, what we call it the specialists here in the United States. And then we'll be the MD, the medical doctors. And then we have like clinical officer, medical officers, and some of them are in with like higher diploma training, some with diploma training, and then nurses, and we also have community health workers, community health volunteer, and keep go down the level. So for us to really reach out and to cover our population. Most of them are in remote and village area. So it's when you think about just travel to see the client, it already consume a lot of time for traveling. So we create this module so that we can send like community health worker, community health volunteer, or even clinical officers from the local units or dispensary, so that they can capture what's going on the ground. But those providers not necessarily have the required special training for that particular very specific area. So they can say that, oh, this looks like a diabetic foot, let's say that. They can take a video or take a picture, and then they can send a request to the specialist through this application. And the specialist doesn't need to travel 1,000 miles away and to go and see the client, but based on the notes or descriptions and also the picture or video, they can provide like a consultancy for the first provider. So they say, hey, this really looks like a diabetic foot. Please refer him or her to the diabetic clinics in this location ASAP, because we don't want that to be amputated because it's just so bad. So it would save the travel time. It's pretty much like telemedicine, very similar to teleconsultation. It's not like, so that it's kind of like reduce the turnaround time for the client to travel a long way to see the specialist, and even you travel, the time slot might not be available because it's such a long queue. But for this quick request and then consultancy, it can provide like more effective feedback what's the next step supposed to be, so that we don't lose time on providing the right care for our clients. So let's say that the specialist say that, this is just, please do this, and then the please refer to the special clinic, and then the client, the provider will see this message and immediately send the client to the clinic. So this is the whole idea about this teleconsultation module.
Okay, thank you. I got it.
Yeah, cool. Good question. Anyone have more comment on instant so when should we go back to the original plan and separate them again now, or should that be done later on? About grouping and
I think some some of the module, I can see the benefit of grouping them together. Like, there's no point for us to separate them.
Okay. Yeah, because like later on, I think even through, I think part of what we call a notification system, right? But teleconsultation is just part of the notification system, under the notification, and then later on we also add like reminders and other things as well under the notification system.
Yeah.
How about Simon? What are the other suggestions? I have to look at the email again. For like smaller phones, this is really program specific. Unless the program buy like bigger size phone. I mean, I would love that too. It's just easier to use.
Yeah, I think I like that suggestion too. I think we can definitely make the font bigger and the input bigger.
Yeah.
Especially for tablet and whatever. I can have a look at how we, because I went through Simon's email real quickly. One of Burke's suggestion was to use Bootstrap, and I think we are, excuse me, I think we already use Bootstrap, so we probably need to have a look at how we use Bootstrap in our form code. So I think it should be doable to make it bigger by just changing a few classes that we use inside our form.
Okay. Any more comment on suggestions on feedback from Brian? If not, we can move to the next agenda item, testing feedback on the UI resolution. So do you guys want to share the use cases that you guys have tested, but then that they don't work as expected?
Okay, for the last week, we've been testing the error resolution user interface. We have a few cases that we did. Okay, I'm going to do few ones, then the team will help me with the rest. I'll start with double registration. Okay. So I was able.
Let me share the screen so that people can see it. That's one. Yeah, can you guys see it now?
Okay, that is the first case. What we did, we registered 2 clients. We gave them different MRS number. Sorry, we gave them same MRS number. So one of the clients was able to be processed and was stored in the MRS database. The other client was not processed. He was taken to the error queue. So we went to the error queue, and the payload were able to change the MRS number. Then we assigned a different MRS. So our question was, after assigning the second client another MRS number, when you go back to the device, the MRS is not changed. So we have 2 clients with different MRS number. So our question was, how do we replace the wrong MRS with the correct ID so that it does not confuse the user from entering the wrong MRS ID? So that was our question. Maybe I don't know if Savai can help us on that.
Maybe come up with the question.
Sorry?
Rubai, come up with the question again.
The question is, after assigning a different, okay, we had two clients sharing the same MRS. So one of the client was processed successfully to the MRS database. The other one went to the error queue. So we went to the payload, then we assigned a different MRS number. Then it was processed and it was stored to the database successfully. So going back to our device, we were not able to change the MRS number. So we had the same person with two different MRS IDs. So how do we change the MRS ID? That was our question, so that we don't confuse the user on the device side.
Yeah, I think that is a bug. It should replace the temp UUID with the permanent UUID, but it's not working as expected. I think that's the reason why it's showing two records. So maybe you can just like briefly explain like the temp UUID when you know doing the registration form of this field, and then it assigned a temp UUID, and then it would went to the server for processing. If they find anything, any record existing from the server, it would update the temp UUID with the permanent UUID, and then when you sync back to the device, it should do the same for replacing. Is it correct, Win?
Give me a second, Ada.
Okay. So just want to give everyone's background while we are looking into this one. This is the error resolution UI that for the phase one. What it is like there might be some data issue. That's why they don't pass and then cannot be processed, and that's why it needs to require some manual process for resolving them. Either the ID is not correct, or has been in use, or the ID cannot be found, and things like that. So it requires some manual revision. This is mainly due to either the same record has been created by two different occasions or users, because they both like store them locally. So this kind of thing will happen more and more.
So Ada, I have a quick question here.
Sure.
So I understand what Rubai is saying, that she tried to register a patient with an already existing AMRS ID, and she uploaded the form. And once the processor actually kicked in, it flagged that form as an error because this ID belonged to another patient. And so she used the error resolution to modify the AMRS ID and assign a new AMRS ID, and after that this registration form got processed and it created the patient all over again with a brand new ID. And it looks like she's downloaded this patient again to the device. So at this point I'm just like wondering, like, I don't think we have a way as of today to send some kind of notification, or something which says that this patient's registration didn't go through. If we have something like that, then maybe when we're syncing the clients, we can actually find out those registrations that were marked as an error for some reason, and we remove those patients on the device. Could we do something like that?
Yeah, this could be a bug in the download process. I think for when after you register a patient and then the patient get registered, I think you're supposed to re-download the cohort again. I think that's what you're supposed to do, and then that will replace the temporary patient with whatever data you get from the server. But in this case, I think is it Robai testing? I think Robai download the patient by searching the patient in the server, not syncing, not downloading the entire cohort. So this could be a bug in our download process. And
But it should. I think if we miss that one, how to say, even like Robai like search the server and download that one particular client record, it should still replace the TAM.
yeah, that's the bug in the download process. So the download process doesn't do checking for the registration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we need to add that one. I think that's the reason, Robai. So it's not like the user can resolve it. It's the application is supposed to do it.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. The reason I want to discuss today because I think it would happen more often, and I want everyone to hear and understand the reason why it happens.
Yeah, the other one you can do is probably add a long press handler on a patient, and then that will pop up selection to delete the patient.
Sorry, you want to go ahead?
Okay, let me just raise this quick. I just want to mention that probably this will lead to an additional integrity issue in the data, because many times I think the providers will register a patient, and immediately after that they will fill some encounter form. So when this data is submitted to the server, I think the encounter form might process successfully, but be filled against the wrong patient. I don't know whether that would happen.
But I think shouldn't it process the registration form first if the registration form as a new client, if it's not being processed yet, the corresponding encounter form they submit would not be processed.
Okay, this is Ruth.
There's some other patient using the same ID as the newly registered patient. So, okay, I haven't checked the workflow, but I'm wondering if, for example, there's already a patient A, and then I'm registering a patient B, but using the same ID as A, and then I fill an encounter form that is for patient B. Maybe we need to look at whether that will go to the server side and be registered, the encounter be processed and registered. The encounters and the orbs be filled against the already existing patient.
Okay, I think that was captured in case 6. What Sava is saying that Ruth is talking here. Case 6, Ada, please. Sorry. Can we get the screen, Ada, please?
already moved. Can you guys see it?
Yeah. I think in that case, number 6, you were able to register these two, Amanda 1 and Amanda 2. Amanda 1 was processed successfully, and Amanda 2 went to the error queue, and we filled a form for Amanda 2, which was successfully uploaded. But now the encounter went to the queue data. So we still add some questions there. The form is still in the queue data, and it's uploaded successfully.
Oh yeah, cool. Actually, the encounter will take the patient UUID, not the MRS ID. So I see it, that wouldn't be an issue.
Hi everyone. Heather, please go to case number 5.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. We filled the registration form under identifier. We filled the MRS number, record number, but under enter identifier, we filled the national ID. And we were able to submit the form successfully and sync it. And on the error queue, there was an error. Patient null failed to validate with reason. Identifier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is not appropriate for validation scheme. We were able to correct the error and processed successfully. Our question or our suggestion was, if it's possible, that area for the identifier, if it's possible, if you enter a different MRS or any other number, it should flag on the device so that the user can change or can edit on time before submitting the form.
So, Ira, I have a quick question here. Okay, this, maybe we have to look into this further, but why do we even allow two clients to be created with the same AMRS ID?
I think for cases like that, it should not happen on the same device, on the local repo. I think we should add a validation for that. But if, let's say that I'm registered the same ID and then you're using the same ID on your device, and then when we sync back to the server, it's the same problem. Because like we both have our 2 different local repo, and I don't know your use this ID, you don't know our use ID. But you know, it's not supposed to happen, but it could happen. I think that's why we test out like all the possible use cases, so that we make sure our app work properly.
So is this AMRS ID coming from some document or a card or something that people look at it and fill it into how are they coming up with the AMRS ID? Like where are they getting it from?
They should have a card or a list, and then they cross out the list, or it come out from the card. So maybe we should provide some background information about the registration process. ID generation first. I think it's helpful for everyone, especially we have 2 new developers. All the AMRS ID are generated centrally, and with one central control. So and then they would print all those ID cards with the barcode and the MRS ID with it on the card, and then they would on paper and a paper card, and then those would be used and assigned supposedly on the field, and then they can just fill out the client's name and gender, date of birth, things like that. That's the ideal way supposed to do. So if they really do it right, they should not have that problem, like the same ID be issued to more than one person. But I think the team here is just to help us to test all this crazy scenario, just when it happened, what we should do. I think we just want to test intensively. That's pretty much what we're doing right now.
Okay, Eric here. So there's another case scenario. This is case 4. Eda, maybe you can go there.
Go ahead. Eric.
So in case 4, 2 patients are registered with the same duplicate IDs and same names. So after submitting the forms to the server, one of them is processed and one is put on the error queue. So the question was how to resolve such kind of error.
I think you can go back to the error queue main page and then check on the particular form, and then go all the way to the bottom and click queue again. It should process.
Okay, thanks.
I read this one, so I remember. But for the cases after case 4, I did not get a chance to read them.
You guys are finding too much cases.
They are good.
Okay, for that patient, I did what you told me. I requeued, but still it is on the error queue. So it didn't process.
Okay, so maybe we can look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to go through the document again.
Yeah.
I think this is really good. I think good.
It's very
Case
yeah.
And in this case, maybe Eda, when we are saying that it will process, does it mean it will delete the second record, or where does it go to?
No, because you already, so you resolved the first record.
We have a duplicate here.
So you resolve the first record, and then you...
Yeah, the first record is processed, and the second one goes to the error queue.
Yeah, so I thought that because once you resolve the first record, and then there's no more conflict against the second one, so the second one, when you requeue, it should process. If it go back to error queue, it should be, if it goes to the error queue again, it should be caught by a different reason instead of the original reason. That's my guessing. But if it go back to the error queue again, I think it really would be like for a different reason. It's not the original reason. But
okay,
go ahead.
We had some few concerns. Like we had a form that we had entered or filled for a client, a CDM screening form, and I was able to upload it to the server, but it remained on the device. I think you have that document on the one I sent you. This is Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering why the form is still remaining on the phone, and when you upload, it's supposed to completely move to the server side. CDM screening form.
It's this one, right?
Yeah. No, the other document for Ruth.
Do you see that now?
Yeah, we need to have a look at that one, Ada. See why the form is still in the phone once you upload it.
Yeah, let's see if we can reproduce the same error.
Or maybe we can get some help to get the log for the upload process and see what's going on behind the scenes.
I may say maybe the reason that could happen would be maybe there was a problem with the APK, or two, maybe there was no connectivity while while she was syncing.
Derek, we were using bundles, Safaricom bundles.
And we are connecting to the remote server.
And we got a message that the form has been uploaded successfully. So I don't think it is a network issue.
Because other forms were uploaded and they only had the remaining.
Okay, other forms.
Other forms were uploading, Derek, and the only one that was that one of CDM screening.
Yeah, maybe a QA issue on the CDM screening form. Other forms like the CDM dispensary form was being uploaded, but only the screening CDM dispensary was uploaded, but not only the screening form.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and maybe it's only the screening form.
Yes. Okay. I think if it's the screening form alone, I think it could be something I need to look at, because this is a new form that I recently developed and it's still under testing. So if it's a specific case for the screening form, I think it's something I should have a look.
Okay.
Sure.
For specifically screening form, thank you.
Karibu.
And then we had a question on how long does a form stay in the queue data before it is being processed, because of we had some forms from yesterday, today on the queue data.
I think it should be fairly quick. I think we usually set the scheduler task to be like 30 seconds. So maybe one way to do it, try to restart the scheduler task, and then if it's not processing, then probably check the log for the time gap.
Okay, maybe Derek will help us on that so that we can report back. Thank you.
Yeah. I think we can see each other for this, or possibly on Monday. Then we can be able to know how can we get the logs.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Derek, we had something on USB now that you are around.
It's being worked on. I would say it's being worked on. We had agreed with Thomas Misoi, who is the lead IT, that we're going to work on that after 2. Unfortunately, I came in for this, I logged in for this meeting. So after this, I'll be working out on that, because it's all about joining you on a group that has privileges to access USB ports.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, something else on Eric's case.
Okay.
That is this Florida.
Okay, Jordan. Let me go back to open the document.
On case 4, I had a suggestion.
Go ahead.
Are you there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a suggestion that I think there should be a way on how we can merge the two records together, because you see, we registered this patient. They are duplicates of duplicate of the other. So I was suggesting that I think we should really come up with a way to merge the patient, if at all the patient is existing in the system and the problem is discovered earlier.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. That was actually my suggestion.
Supposedly it should be merged and updated on the local repo on the device behind the scene, that user doesn't need to take any action. So I think there's a bug here. So that's what Wayne pointed out earlier, that there may be a bug in the download process. So we will look into this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Because the whole point is we try to reduce the burden on the users if possible. So this for this kind of cases, we can handle from the background and supposedly, but it's not working as expected, so we need to look into this one.
Okay, that's all we had, and we'll continue testing the user interface. In case of more errors, we'll update the group.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I think this is really amazing. Like, really appreciate the testing group.
They want to make sure that our app is bug free. We consider all scenarios. This is awesome. We love it.
Okay. We appreciate.
Yeah, good.
We move to the next agenda item. Is mUzima 54 improved with the Dano process. Srita, do you want to just go through the major change that you think that this tech might require, so that it would be good just to discuss today?
Sure, Ada. So, actually, Ada, can you, would it be possible for you to share the screen with the Jira?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you see it?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, good.
So, I think from what okay, Kiran and I actually paired on this yesterday. So we did a little bit of research, and basically the Jira was filed to improve the wizard download process in the sense that if someone is running the wizard and for some reason they get interrupted in the middle of the wizard flow, then we try to make the wizard smart enough in a way such that the user doesn't have to go back and reload all of the data again. Whatever was previously downloaded is somehow saved temporarily, and we only do the parts that were not successfully downloaded. So I think this is what this Jira was open for, and oh, I have to scroll 1 second. And we felt that this is like actually the search API is where the actual download of the data happens, and then we deserialize the data, and we send the data back to the Android layer, and this at the Android layer is where the actual save happens. So with this change, if we have to temporarily store it at the search API level, it will be like a really big change, because the search API, I think my understanding was that it should only be used for the purpose of searching and downloading, and it should be generic enough in the way that it doesn't need to know about different kinds of objects that the Android layer needs to know about what type of data that it's trying to save, A. And because this is like one place where all downloads to the device are happening in this one method call, if you're actually going to change it, we'll have to do a lot of testing. So given all of this, like we think it's like a pretty big change, and it's like really extensive, and we should also track at every point like where in the wizard process we had previously stopped, and inside each of the step how much of the data we had actually saved and how much was a failed download. So I just wanted to understand your guys' thoughts on this.
Win and Simon. Win Simon, in case you're talking, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize the changes is going to be this big.
Should we put this on a later time, Win?
Yeah, I think so, Ada.
And also, I was actually kind of wondering, like, I know that I guess the app is being used in places where internet connection is not very stable, and there could be frequent interruptions in the internet connection. But what I'm wondering is, even then, like, how many people will actually see a failed wizard, flow happening? And the wizard runs only once in the lifetime of the application unless someone uninstalls it, and that's when it runs again. And given that the frequency of how often we will be facing this problem of the wizard being interrupted, and the second thing is how many times would a person actually run the wizard, it could like bring that number of the use case for this scenario happening would be very less. And to kind of manage that small case, we will be introducing a massive change throughout the app and in very critical points in the app. So I was just wondering, like, if you want to actually think about whether we really need this change at this point.
Yeah, I agree with Sveta. I think at this point it's not a good idea to do these massive changes as we're trying to stabilize the application. I agree that switch it to on hold.
Yeah, that one is already on hold. Good. We'll put that. We will not even work on it until later. Once when we have the bandwidth to work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. So next one is Achana. Do you want to share your JSON questions with the team? So Achana is helping to work on the biometric project, and she's helping. She's able to capture the fingerprints, and then she run into the issue how to retrieve the record based on the fingerprints. And she has a question about the JSON.
Yeah, Ada. So, shall I share my screen
Yes,
about
please.
the issue?
Yes, please.
I don't know. I'm not able to share. Maybe it's because of my IU account or something. Give me a second.
While waiting for Achana, Wayne, now on the issue about getting stuck on step one, now it works. I can move to the next step.
Okay. Yeah, could be some issue over there actually. So.
Do you know what was the issue?
I need to have a look at it. What's going on?
Okay.
Archana, is this what you're talking about? You're sending me the IRC chat last night, I think.
Yeah, the same one, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so can you see my screen now?
Ah, okay. Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So if you can see, I'm trying to scan already registered patient. So I'm able to get the patient data, but with the Java JSON parse error.
What do you know what is in the data? Look at your console logs.
Yeah, I can. So
Yeah, the console log doesn't is not a JSON, so that's why it's actually it looks like an error message. It seems to be
just
saying,
Win, just hold on just for a second. The response text actually shows up here with along with the patient data and the fingerprint.
mhm.
Maybe because of the session timed out, it wasn't able to. So this is the response text data which I am trying to parse into a JSON object.
Oh, so it seems to be it's not a JSON, it's an XML.
Yeah, XML. Yeah. So how do we go about in parsing this as a JSON object?
Um,
Or is there any other way so that I can uh, extract the data from this and use in my JavaScript here?
what kind of how oh, it's an so you're parsing the response tags. So what are you pinging on the server side?
Yes.
Which URL?
So this one right now I'm working on the local.
Okay.
This is already written JavaScript win. So I'm just confused. So am I do I need to make any changes or is this an already working one?
Yeah, it seems to be the server side is returning XML when you're expecting JSON. So it could be hold on. Let me, Yeah, thanks. Um, um, Give me a second, Richard.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you should be able to convert that into JSON that way. Um, Try changing the parse into something like this. JSON parse. Instead of assigning.
Okay. Yeah, I tried this way when it
Did it work?
didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can discuss this later on, Archana.
After this call, yeah, sure, that is fine.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Sorry, it ran over like 60 minutes, and um, just want to ask everyone to update the tickets on current sprints, and if there's any issue, just post through comments, and then we can respond accordingly. Is there anything else anyone want to say before we wrap this up?
No, nothing from Azeda. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, guys. I'm sorry for running
Guys,
late.
I'm sorry for running late.
Be better next week.
Good weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Good weekend, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye.